The Purrgil were a unique semi-sentient species in the Star Wars universe that had a special ability to travel through space without the need for a starship, as well as being one of the only species that was capable of traveling through hyperspace without the use of a hyperdrive. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the Purrgil and their unique place in the Star Wars galaxy. The Purrgil were a massive species of whales that lived in deep space that had been documented since before the creation of the Republic. Generally, Purrgils were roughly the size of a small starship and had a torso and head similar to many whales of the Sol system, with their backsides being composed of several tentacles reminiscent of squids. In order to breathe while traveling through deep space, Purrgil needed to inhale stores of a green gas known as Clauson-36. When they were not provided with enough of the gas, their skin turned to a gray to brownish color. Once sufficiently provided with the Clauson-36, they metabolized it into hypermatter fuel and therefore were able to jump into hyperspace, and this would also cause their skin to change to more of a purple color as seen in the Star Wars Rebels show. Purrgils lived in flocks and would most often be led by a much larger Purrgil that may have been a subspecies known as a Purrgil Ultra. The Purrgil Ultras were much larger than the rest of the flock and could reach nearly half the size of an Imperial-class Star Destroyer. Aside from the size difference, the Ultra Purrgils seem to have several other variations from most Purrgils, as shown that many Purrgils contain rows of egg-shaped teeth. However, a Purrgil Ultra, shown in the Ahsoka show, had whisker-like teeth known as baleen plates. These types of whiskers are used as filters instead of biting that the more rounded teeth on the smaller Purrgils possessed on the Star Wars Rebels show. It's been speculated that the first species to develop hyperdrive engines did so after studying the Purrgils, and their unique ability to enter this alternate dimension. Many early hyperspace scouts that mapped out safe hyperspace lanes did so by following the migration patterns of Purrgils through hyperspace. Many deposits coaxium fuel, which was needed for hyperspace engines, was found at locations where Purrgils would hyperjump to, and because of this, in the early days of space travel, Purrgils were cherished as helping the sentient species to expand to distant stars. Both the Jedi and Sith in their early days studied the Purrgils, and through the studying of Purrgil brains and how they functioned, were able to create the Jedi and Sith wayfinders. These were unique pieces of technology created by both the Jedi and the Sith as a means of navigating challenging stretches of space that without a wayfinder to guide them would most certainly lead to death. It's also believed that the route Han Solo took to complete the Kessel Run was inspired by an ancient Purrgil migration trail. The Purrgils were unique in their understanding of safe passages through space that even in modern Star Wars times, most races didn't possess even close to the level of skill for space navigation that the Purrgils naturally had. Unfortunately, in modern times, the long-lost connection to Purrgils being helpful with hyperspace navigation had long been forgotten. Most spacers and pilots viewed Purrgils as pests in modern times and would often kill them when spotted, as it was a known occurrence for ships to collide with them while traveling through hyperspace, which would lead to everyone dying. The Twi'lek captain of the ghost ship named Hera Syndulla did not think fondly of them when asked about them by Ezra Bridger when they encountered them together. She stated that the Purrgil are dangerous. They wander into hyperspace lanes, crash into ships. I lost more than one friend that way. Most of the crew of the Ghost felt the same way. However, Ezra Bridger was able to communicate with them through the Force and was able to work with them on a few occasions to attack the Empire. In Ezra's final appearance on the Rebel show, he was able to convince a Purrgil flock to attack Grand Admiral Thrawn's fleet, destroying most of the ships and dragging Ezra, Thrawn, and his flagship into hyperspace with them to parts unknown. Later, Ahsoka Tano was able to communicate with the Purrgil Ultra through the Force, which allowed their ship to enter its mouth and jump to hyperspace into a distant galaxy in the hope to reach Ezra Bridger and rescue him. The Jedi archives on Coruscant before it was destroyed was said to have mapped out the Purrgil's routes to distant galaxies and was kept hidden in the archives, but this information was lost once the Jedi were destroyed. It's unfortunate that the Purrgils, once respected for being the beginning of hyperspace flight knowledge, now being seen as nothing more than pests in modern times. During the era of the High Republic, the Corellian Engineering Corporation understood how important these animals were and named one of their best classes of starships at the time, the MPO-1400, known as the Purrgil class, after them. Hopefully, with the interactions of Ezra Bridger and Ahsoka Tano working in connection with the Purrgils, their importance to hyperspace travel will spread throughout the galaxy once again, and they can once again no longer be seen as pests to be destroyed.